You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
I feel like all three of us have had in our lives the person that pitched you something and you think it's great and then they just never do it. And that breaks your heart more than anything. Do you know there's 1,000 better podcasters than me? There are 1,000 better filmmakers than me. There are 1,000 people that just gave up.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. Heather and I started off as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in. Oh, wait, that's your line because I'll do the intro. You do the next line.
And also, it's so fun to hear how you're going to announce it. I'm going to relate this to something super not related. My 9-year-old and I are watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And if you haven't watched it,
I have not.
And now it's old school. It's from the early 2000s on YouTube or Hulu. You can't fast forward through the opening, but she has a mysterious magical costume each time. So this is how I feel here, waiting to hear how Alan is going to say, met by chance and embraced opportunity.
Oh, Sabrina, what?
Whatever.
What?
It's really fun. She's 9. We're like, is she going to be a kitty cat today? Is she going to be a firefighter today?
I'll give you that. All right, next line. Come on. Pick up the pace here.
Mom, Dad, stop fighting!
Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success.
Our guest today is an amazing guy, and he's a director, so that's why I'm directing right now. Jesse McAnally. He's a mega nerd.
He needs no direction.
He's a mega nerd, and therefore one of my absolute favorite people. He's a film director, an actor, a YouTuber, a songwriter, a podcaster, and a dude. I was about
dude.
And a dude?
It is a dude.
What? No. I wrote in the notes, it says D&D enthusiast, which of course is Dungeons and Dragons, but I was about to say do not disturb. You love do not disturb.
And a guy you do not disturb. Do not disturb me.
Do not disturb. All right, so he's been making movies since he was 5, acting out elaborate plots with dolls, and forcing his family to watch. After graduating from Wayne State with a degree in media arts and studies, he decided to turn his high school hobby, which is sharing his passion for musical theatre with others through his podcast called Musicals with Cheese, where he teaches Andrew DeWolf, a layperson who is new to the community, the ins and outs of being a theater nerd. He now has a feature film in the works called The Daughters of Domino that I'm super excited to talk about. Jesse, well, now we're finally here. Let's talk.
We're finally here.
We were talking for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, I was dancing with the intro music that we also hear. Like, it's real. They play it in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. That's the Was a Chance intro music was composed originally completely by Heather's 4 children.
Oh, that's incredible. Really?
That's not true.
It's not true. It's not true.
So, fun fact, Alan knows this, but every mid-show we read all of our patrons' names. Most recently, I had Bree give me a beat, and I freestyle rapped like a connection line between each name. Boy, that was a fun time.
That takes some skill, dude.
That's work.
That is definitely work. No, improv is some serious business. Like, to get it good, right? Oh, dude, speaking of which, this is a complete plug for something unrelated to all of us. I saw Hipprov the other day. You know, this is improv under hypnosis. And, yeah.
I want to go to there.
I got the playbill right now. Colin Mockery.
Is it good?
Colin Mockery is the improvisationist, improver, and the night I saw it, actually, he was out on vacation, and it was I forget her name. It's Flo from Progressive, so she was a great great improv. But Anand, this guy is a mentalist and puts people straight up under hardcore deep hypnosis. And when people are not trying to be funny, when they are actually the character, it is so funny to watch because there's nothing pretentious about any of it. I love it. I love it.
Oh my God,
anyway,
I love it. I want to go to there. Jess.
Yes.
Wow. You do a lot of things. You're very funny. You're animated. I'm sad that our audience can't see all of your animation.
I have a face made for podcasting, I know.
That is not true. How did you get here? Like, what chance did you embrace when you were younger that led you down this path?
Sincerely, I honestly don't know. Because a lot of folks, like, you see people that are like, oh, they were meant for this. I'm sure you've interviewed Alan on your podcast. People are like, oh, I've been doing this since I was in the womb, and I've been knowing what I wanted to do. I've been singing, and then I got into to CMU, and I was immediately put into my first Broadway show, and all that. And that was not the case. I just kind of would doodle and would think of things I'd like to see because I was like this media obsessed child that just soaked it all in, and rather than just like soaking it in and letting it sit there, I wanted to turn it into my own stuff because that seemed much more interesting. So every camera I can grab, I shot something with. Anything I could do that could get my like friends involved with. So you know how I made money in high school? There was two forms of revenue. First one is I would shoot everyone's senior project videos and turn them into like cinematic things, and I'd get paid like $250 per gig for that.
Wow.
As well as creative writing projects that they'd have to make little videos. They're like, okay, Jesse knows how to shoot this. $300, everyone puts 100 in. Let's go.
That's good beer money.
Absolutely. I mean, that's embracing chance, I think. Like, you just wanted to put your own spin on it and do it your way. And you were like, well, how does that manifest itself? Where does that come from?
I think it just comes from discovering that it's possible. I think my generation, specifically like the ones that grew up with like the DVD commentaries, which I think it's like younger Gen Z, older Gen X, or younger Gen X and whatever. We had like those at our fingertips for the first time as media consumers. We got the ability to see what a director was, see what the first AD did, and really break it down into a process that no other generation had before. And really now the generations don't really have anymore because it's not a part of streaming media.
I always love the behind the scenes and the bloopers. Because the bloopers,
Exactly.
as funny as the bloopers are to watch, being serious about this, it showed me the creative process, a window into the creative process, because you get to, it's real people being these oftentimes serious characters and breaking because they're having so much fun, even being angry or being mad at each other. And that to me was what really attracted me to performing, was exactly that, just seeing inside, behind, breaking down the fourth wall.
Yeah, and that fourth wall
I love it.
is something that needs to be broken down, and now everything's signed by NDAs, and everything that you do get is drip put out there by the corporations themselves to help make the brand stronger rather than showing you an actual description of what happened behind the scenes. Because even before my generation, there was like Hearts of Darkness, which was the falling apart of Apocalypse Now, which I think inspired a lot of the filmmakers we currently have coming out today. And now we get the sanitized version of that. We will never know what really happened behind the scenes of Don't Worry, Darling, because no one's going to let any of that footage come out.
But you know what about I really want to.
Yeah, we all really want to. And
I really want to.
And in 2005, on the DVD, there'd be a 4-hour documentary that would have told us everything.
My ex was really into Kevin Smith, and I'm a fan of Kevin Smith as well. So we watched all of the movies. We watched that version, which is when I started to actually really appreciate Ben Affleck as an actor. Anybody who can make fun of themselves that much, all right, you're okay with me.
Ben Affleck is... Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, making fun of themselves. I just watched on Netflix the other night, End of the World, the Seth Rogen movie. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yes, The World's End.
Or The World's End.
This is the End.
This is the End, something like that, with him and James Franco. And like everybody in there plays themselves. And it's not even exaggerated versions of themselves. They're just playing themselves in the middle of an apocalypse. And it's just like Paul Rudd falls down the hole and dies, and Mindy Kaling dies, and like every major celebrity that shows up. I absolutely love that. Like Seth Rogen, Ben Stiller, all of these people have such an ability to make fun of themselves and laugh at themselves. And I think that's what's carried people through, especially like with their careers, as long as they have been. They can adapt because the funny things people are saying about them, they just incorporate into their next project. Speaking of next project, back to Jess McAnally.
That's me.
Ooh, nice.
See that segue? You see that segue? Side note, I'm going to go on a tangent a second. You ever heard the song Chimpanzee Riding on a Segway?
Alan's going to go on it.
This just occurred to me. I'm going to insert it here at this point in editing as a song that I've introduced to my children. That it's just a video of a chimpanzee riding on a Segway, and it's catchy.
Can we talk about Jess?
Yeah, of course we can. But here's the song.
Chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam. Chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam.
And we're back. Okay, magic of editing. All right.
Wow! Forget anything I have to say. That is the best song. That is what I'm dedicating the rest of my life to, is that song. Monkey on a Segway for president. Chimpanzee on a Segway for ruler of the free world. This is the only thing Fuck podcasting. I'm out of here.
Okay.
That is life-changing.
Podcasting. Musicals with Cheese. One of my absolute favorite podcasts of all time. So... okay, embracing chance. Talk about this. You got into musical theater. How did you meet Andrew DeWolf? Why did you start the podcast? And how the hell have you grown it like you have? Like, all of these are little chances that you're just like, let's do this.
That's a good question. So
It's 3 questions.
That's a series of good questions. You might call it a monkey on a Segway.
Or as my 6-year-old calls it, a chimpanzee on a subway. But yeah, because he doesn't know what a Segway is.
We've got our VP here, the subway chimpanzee.
All right. Back to you.
Okay. It was just good luck, and I really don't try. It was just very lucky. I started doing YouTube videos about musical theater when I was very young. Back when YouTube was very good at getting every video out there. The algorithm was very good for smaller creators. And I developed a small audience back then. I left it behind when I went to college because I'm like, I want to focus on my education for a bit now that I'm paying for it. So I left it behind, graduated for college. Literally 5 months after I graduated, I graduated in May 2018, started Musicals with Cheese in September 2018. Like, that was the day that we started.
Wow.
And Andrew was just someone I knew from the old YouTube days. We did collaborations. We were on a
the old
website
YouTube
together.
Days back when YouTube was a thing. It's not.
It was. I mean, we were both like 15 years old, and we have similar interests. And I think you're funny. And we have a good dynamic, even though we're very different human beings. And we just kept in touch. And I had this idea, which has now become an entire series of podcasts in and of itself, of why don't I just show someone that doesn't like musicals, which in 2017, for a podcast idea, that was pretty novel. No one had quite done it. There's like 50 of them now. I don't want to claim I'm the first, but I was one of the early adopters to that. And I just thought Andrew is easily funny. Like, if I set him up, he's not going to be like, I don't get where you're going. He will follow down that road no matter where you set it up.
And he's so deadpan too, which is the best part of all of it.
It is, but that goes well with my energy, which is much bigger. So I can be big and get the audience engaged, and he will just land the punchline, and it's a good back and forth.
Well, talk about the manifestation, the creativity, the embracing of the chances. Yes. Podcasting is a freaking hard business, and at some point, I've seen so many people around us who have I didn't coin this. I used the term pod faded. They're just like, you know what? Wait a second. I'm not an overnight millionaire. I'm out. And because you're like, oh, Joe Rogan, Dax Shepard, yeah, these guys got like $1 billion deal with Spotify. Cool, all right, I'm doing that. And then they get to this point and they're like, wait, I got to do this myself every week or multiple times a week or whatever the case is. So there had to have been a point. Was there a point for the two of you when you're like, we're doing this for fun. We can make a little money off it. We're doing okay, but we're going to do this for fun because it's just freaking we love it. It's passionate. And it's going to lead to other things?
There was never that idea behind it. When we started, Andrew was very big, like, who's going to care about musical theater? It's such a big niche. Why don't we do something more broad? I'm like, it's because no one else is really involved in this niche that people will flog to us because no one else is talking about their hyperfixation. So we were really embracing being 7 favorite people's favorite thing as opposed to 100 people's 8th favorite thing. So I really wanted to get as niche, get as specific into it as we can. And I knew that people would keep coming back if we follow where the trend in theater was going. And the fact is, when we started, I still had a little bit of that fan base still lingering there from when I was in high school that were like, oh, you're back. Okay, let's see what you've been up to. And starting that up, they followed, and then they grew. And the thing is, no one ever left. The same people that were there when we started with episode 1 are still here when we're on episode 207. And I keep in contact with them. I try to not keep a barrier between the people that enjoy us and us. If they have a thing to say on Twitter, I will respond to almost every person because I feel like the back and forth is just as important as the content itself. And I feel like that's where a lot of folks tend to drop the ball as far as their content goes, where they forget the give and take of it. Because they want to...
Did you just point to yourself?
I did. I pointed to myself because I don't make the time. We were just talking about the ticker talkers. Making the ticker talkies, I don't use my own voice because I'm doing it at a time where I can't record with my own voice because I don't make the time to step away and do it.
I'm with you, Jess. I personally respond to anybody who comments, reaches out, messages, DMs for both podcasts and my work.
We got a lot of dates out of it too.
They're very effective, and if you respond to someone, you could make their day. You really could. And it doesn't cost you anything to make someone's day better by just saying, thank you for doing this. It really means a lot to us. Or what we're doing now is we're reading our emails and stuff on the podcast, if they're, like, obviously, and reviews, because it's incentivizing interaction, which incentivizes our tweets and Instagram things going further. Like, if you make them rewarded for being an active participant, they'll keep coming back, is what I've discovered.
Well, I love that. And I also enjoy that you read the names of patrons, which the names are often changed purposely. Like, the patrons will change their own names because then they know that you're going to read them on air. Do you have any favorites that you can remember off the top of your head?
Oh my gosh. There's one that stuck around for a while. He's been around, they've been around for a couple months, and their name is literally Birdman69, all one word, and I laugh every time.
That would make my kids laugh too. Because I have those kind of kids. I'm that kind of parent.
But there was one time when we had Tom Allen Robinson on, and I accidentally slipped and called him Tom Allen Robbins, and we just made a joke of it. Alan, you were there. The entire podcast.
Backwards.
And...
His name actually is Tom Allen Robbins.
Okay. I said one or the other. Yeah. Either way. And then
because if he hears this, he's going to be angry with me for not correcting him.
But when we got to the Patreon read, we were just like, what if they all just said Tom Allen Robbins next week? At least 10 of them changed it to Tom Allen Robbins next week.
So you're like, and today we're sponsored by Tom Allen Robbins. Tom Allen Robbins. Tom Allen Robbins.
It was a great gag. It was a great gag. And sometimes they'd be like, they just add Allen Robbins to the end of their name. Like it'd be Kiji Marie Allen Robbins.
I love it.
Which made it so much better. If they get what you're doing, they will want to be a part of it, and they will love the give and take.
Where did the love of musical theater though come in? Because like the stuff I was reading, YouTube and Dungeons and Dragons, Do Not Disturb.
Yes.
All of these things that you're into are very like you're directing film, short films, doing all these things in high school that are camera related. So where the musical theater love? Where the performing love?
So I always knew I wanted to be in some kind of arts. Like I knew like film, but the word director for a 5-year-old, that doesn't quite ring. So when you tell your kid, your parents, like, hey, I want to make movies and then be in movies or whatever, because I don't think I'm an actor, sincerely. But then they're like, well, the only thing we can think to do is send you to acting class because that makes sense, right? And it makes sense if you're thinking about it. So I was put into acting class and I was performing Sondheim at age 6. Like I was like in these big concerts and I'm singing Together Wherever We Go and like 5 different other songs from the Mama Rose musical. And yeah, it was...
The Mama Rose musical.
Yeah, that's what it's called now. I don't think it has another title.
Oh, no, we can't say the other title. Not politically appropriate.
Oh, here's what I'm curious about. First of all, you've said so many things that just fascinate me that I don't even think you register as being fascinating to you. You've thrown in things like back in my YouTube days, and I still had a little fan base from high school, and those are like that doesn't happen for everybody, right? Like we don't just keep a fan base. I only know the names of 2 people I went to high school with.
Your high school only had 4 people in it, so that's understandable.
No, there were 2,000 people in my graduating class.
Oh, that's big. Where'd you go? Chicago?
Yeah,
It's a big school, and I had friends. Now this. Are they listening? Some of them remember me. I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of blocked childhood trauma, but I don't remember a lot of those folks. So you maintain relationships. I mean, something happened. You maintain relationships. They're following your YouTube. They're going to go. I mean, you've established this expertise. They're going to follow you wherever you are. And I think that's even shown up. And I know we're going to talk about your movie and your Kickstarter. That's even showing up now.
That's funny that you bring that up. So we're going to jump into like musical theater. Got into it when I was young because I didn't know what a director was. Got out of it, but still had a deep appreciation for that. Started making films basically from high school before as favors for other people. And then in college, I already had all my expertise. I knew every editing software. I knew nonlinear editing programs. I knew how to do graphic effects. I knew everything. So college was not all that useful to me, aside from meeting all the wonderful people that would assist me and become lifelong friends and partners. My last film that I shot that I won first place in our local 48-hour film festival, 4 people I graduated from high school were involved, including 2 ex-girlfriends. Like, I keep connections very good. And a lot of the other ones were people I went to college with and people I just was like, hey, I respect your work, want to come collaborate. And that's how I work. I work as friends first and collaborators second because I think that's the better way to work.
Well, you have to enjoy the people that you're with. And I go back to Ben Stiller again, actually. This is something that my mom pointed out to me when I was in high school, I think, is we were watching yet another Ben Stiller movie with yet most of the same people in it. And she was like, yeah, he just cast all his friends in his movies all over the place. And I mean, look at Rob Schneider. He wouldn't have a career without Adam Sandler. Let's just put that out there, right? So you've got all these people in Hollywood too that are just helping each other out. And now the thing is if you're an actor, you executive produce your own series. So if you have the executive producer credit and get that power, you can start even having more control, more say over who gets hired and who doesn't. So it's. Do
you want to know who probably would be, if you're looking in credits, to try to look for the repeating names, either the cinematographer or first AD? Go through a director's entire filmography and see how often the first AD or the cinematographer changes. And you can tell how good a director is and how kind they are. Steven Spielberg has had Janusz Kaminski as a cinematographer since 1994. Wow. Every one of his films.
You know what?
Like, those are
a little fact
marriages.
that I enjoy is the Team America, World Police, get down on the ground. That they used, I forget the guy's name, but they used the DP who did The Matrix because they wanted the action. They wanted everything to be an action shot. And you can tell when you go back and you look at all of like the explosions and stuff that they put in there. It's like, it's very Matrix-esque. I loved it. I love the advice that I carry over that someone told me on once was be the person that that others want to work with the next time. And I hold that in my head every time.
Mm-hmm. And also, it never hurts to be kind in all things, in all collaborative means. You don't want to be the dick on anyone's set. You don't want to be the dick in anyone's podcast. You don't want to be the one that people are going to be like, you don't want to be anyone's worst thing, whether it be guest, anything like that. It never hurts to be kind.
That's true.
Never.
Well, now
it never hurts to be kind.
All of this is culminating in. I mean, how many short films have you done? You've done like 5.
I'd say over. Like, there's some that are just not exist and aren't credited, and some that I have worked on others. So I'd say probably over a dozen at this point. So
you've got all of this work under your belt and all this everything now, and now this is leading up to your first feature film.
Yes.
So. The Daughters of Domino. So
yes.
Tell us, I guess, why now? Why now is the time for you to dive into the feature film world.
And Heather, you look like you had something to say.
Well, I just want to add on to that because I want to know that too. But what intentional risks did you take in making that decision?
Good question. I'll answer Alan's first, and I'll swing back around to that. So, why now? Every filmmaker always has one date in the back of their head from the moment they start. Orson Welles made Citizen Kane at 25. Like, that is one thing that's always just a flare in the back of your head. I believe Sam Raimi made his when he was like 22. So you always have these arbitrary deadlines that mean nothing. So the why now really could be that. But honestly, it's just like, I wasn't ready 3 years ago. I wasn't ready 10 years ago. I wasn't ready until right now where I'm like, yeah, this feels like a manageable point in my life where I could do this. I could do it right, do it with kindness, do it in a way where not anyone's going to be overworked or underfed or any of those things. Because if you're going to do it, you don't want to be the dick about it. And
Right.
there's a lot of ways you could be the dick about it and still get it done, but that's not the right way to do it.
Well, a lot of people think it is. A lot of people think that that's how they display dominance.
Dominance. Okay, I'm gonna say something here that's. I've worked on a lot of sets in my life. I'm in Michigan, but I've done a lot of sets, not even just in this state, out of state. The worst sets are the ones where the crew is terrified to tell the director something's wrong because we can all see it. And it's like there's a stain on the shirt, but everyone's too afraid to tell you it. The best thing about my crew is if they see something's wrong, they feel welcomed enough to tell me. And God, that is such a blessing that you don't know you have until you don't have it.
What were you doing that you knew were calculated risks as you were doing them?
I mean, there's just the fear that, like, hey, you might burn bridges, and hey, this is a big ask of a lot of people, and hey, you're gonna put your life on pause and your relationships on pause. Not just you, but an entire crew for many weeks, for quite a long time, because these don't happen overnight. Are those things you're really willing to take on? Do you feel like you're in an emotionally stable enough space where you could do this healthily, which is very important, and a lot of artistic people don't realize is so important, as well as financially. Do you have the time to do this? Or do you have the means to do this? So those are the risks that you have to take as well. Like, COVID's a big thing that we are all going to have to maneuver around. And we already have
Still,
something
forever.
set up for it where every week everyone has to get tested. Everyone has to mask. Like, we're basically going to take it as protocol of 2020 because we can't risk losing days. We really can't.
Wait, so
Right.
so you're already how far into pre-production on this are you? Because it sounds like you've already got your COVID protocols in place.
Yes.
You're a little bit down the timeline.
So while we do have a Kickstarter, we are preparing for this no matter what.
Good for you. It's happening.
Yes.
It just would be nice if it had some financial backing.
It's a difference between if I'm paying for it all out of my pocket or if so think of that as a calculated risk yourself too.
There you
For
go.
sure.
Well,
I mean, but so is a Kickstarter, right? Like, I did a Kickstarter for my Create
Right.
Brave manifestation cards with my friend Rachel, and I'm curious why a Kickstarter versus other routes of funding. Why Kickstarter?
Well, there is a pro and con to everything. Specifically with like taxes and how much they take out. And I think when people see a Kickstarter, the all or nothing side of it makes them a little bit more driven to help out. There is a little bit more of a fire under your ass if you don't get any of it, if you don't hit the goal, as opposed to like an Indiegogo or if I only make half, I still get to keep it. There is the promise of something with this where there isn't with others. And I think that's a little bit more of an effective incentive to get folks to support and feel like they're part of a community than like, hey, if I only make $5, I get that $5.
well,
Because
that's the fan base that you've cultivated, though.
I mean, we'll see. We're recording this before this launches. It could be a horrible failure. We could find that out.
Well, so check the show notes, the episode notes for this episode, and of course we'll have the link to the Kickstarter in there.
It will be going from October 1st to October 31st, which is Halloween. So I'm either going to be drinking to celebrate on Halloween or drinking for other reasons on Halloween.
So this is like a full-blown, straight-up production, and
Yes.
and I'm always so curious. Like I've been on big sets and I've been on little sets, and I've been seen the results of both, depending on the quality of. I mean, like the quality of the crew obviously is going to greatly affect the finished product. But at what point, I guess, do you learn how to run production? Or are you just like, I'm just going to make a giant spreadsheet? Do you hire somebody to run production?
When you say run to production, what do you mean?
Well, yes. So this is what I mean. It's one of those things where, like, if you say, Alan, go make a movie, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap. We need to pay people, and we need to schedule things. We need to scout locations, and we need to storyboard. We need to get a storyboard and outline our shots, get a shot list, and finish the script. Like, there's all this stuff that's got to happen that I know of.
Project management.
There we are.
Because I've already, project management. Because I've already been part of this world. But like, when you're in charge for the first time, how do you learn this stuff? And are there things that you still don't know that you're just like, I'll figure it out when I get there?
Never just figure it out when you get there. That is advice number one.
Not when it comes to movie making.
No. I am very meticulous in anything I do. I think Alan might know that a little bit about me. I am big on my spreadsheets. I am big on very heavy planning in all facets of everything. So, like, right now it's just me. Like, I am currently making storyboards. I have about 78 pages of storyboards already drawn up. I have my locations mapped out for what I want and how I think the floor plan should look. I've been everything. And I don't like auditions. Like, even actors, I hate auditioning. I'd rather it be a conversation and working it out and sharing work and all that, because I think an audition, you're never going to get the best work out of people. And I've had so many actors blow up in my face because of auditions. So you have to use your hands, get in there, and figure it out yourself. Of course, my producer, Gloria Kohler, fantastic producer in LA, been involved in so many different productions that I wish I could name drop right now, but I cannot. Very talented, though. One of the best out there. So she's been taking the load off of my back a lot more recently, but still, you got to do it yourself, and you got to know how to do it. And the only way to learn how to do it is by doing it before, which is why you do 12 shorts before you do the feature.
Right. I was going to ask about casting. So you said you don't like auditions, traditional auditions, but yeah, like, what's happening with the casting of this movie?
She's asking what the Kickstarter tier is to buy an audition.
I'm not asking.
Okay,
The
I might be asking that then.
Is fun. I really don't want to go into it because I don't say anything till the contracts are signed, but I'm pretty happy with what's locked in right now.
Well, what I think is so fascinating with the onset of YouTube and TikTok and all of these ways to go viral with your skills and your talents is asking that question wasn't necessarily asking about SAG rates. Like my kids, so I have 4 daughters. The oldest is going to turn 18 in a week.
Didn't she just turn 17 last
but they
year?
know that's what happens. Yeah. They know all of these viral YouTube TikTok stars I've never heard of, but there are lots of ways to be a big name these days. It's really fascinating.
Funny you should bring that up, but that is something we are talking about right now. But there's also other things which I'm against. Like, I don't. There is a character in it. Like, it's a detective murder mystery. You go to a bunch of different characters, and in order to get a name, someone's like, "Do you want? What if they were just a Zoom character and they just call in over Zoom?" And I'm like, "I'm not doing that. No, no." So you kind of got to know what your limits are. Like, has anyone seen 13, the new Jason Robert Brown Netflix movie?
All I saw was a headline saying it was not very good.
Yeah, let's just say Josh Peck is in it, but it's obvious he's zoomed in for the movie, and I'm like, oh, there it is in real life. That does happen.
How many times? How many times over the pandemic, right, did we watch talk show hosts, and even like that SNL episode where they recorded everything in their apartments? I was like, oh, this is terrible. Like, I laugh with people, not at people. This is terrible.
But then you get things that
right?
work, like the Ratatouille at-home musical, which I think is proper theater.
Well, yeah, so that's a
haven't seen
performance.
it.
That's not like SNL doesn't work in isolation because you need the audience laughter to give you the vibe and give you the timing of the comedy. But Ratatouille, yeah, that's a performance. It's a proper, like, scripted performance. Not that SNL isn't proper scripted, but you know what I'm saying.
So, Jess, here's my question. You seem super prepared and very comfortable in your skin, in your role, with your audience, with all of that. So what is your relationship with fear or rejection?
Fear and rejection? Wow. We took a turn. Thanks, Heather. Let's...
I got to try to pull it back. It's a consistent challenge.
Like, in my art, it's rarely there, sadly.
I don't get it.
It's a weird thing to say, but in my real life, fear and rejection is a big part of it. My significant other has told me before, like, the only time you seem really confident is when you are doing these things, when you are doing the podcast, when you are on a set. That's like when I see you and that is you, and you feel it's like watching a duck in water. That's where it belongs. But like seeing you at a party and whatnot, it's just like, oh, okay.
It's
I'm an introvert also, so I feel that. I'm not.
It's going back to what you asked
party.
at the beginning. I can't remember if it was before we officially started the episode or not. But like when you're, when we were talking and you asked, like, when you're going on stage, right? When you're doing public speaking, what version of yourself are you putting out there? And there's so there's social party me. There's talk on stage presenting something me. There's corporate event me. There's podcast me. There's dad me, which as the kids get older. But
then comes the uncomfortable question: which one's the real you? Which one is the most you version of you?
Aren't they all though?
Yeah. Like, why aren't they all just elements of you that show up when you need them to?
I don't know. There's like something about coding where some people are like, that doesn't seem like you. Like the 0 to 100 of me when it's just one-on-one with a person and me when I'm performing, acting, whatever, presenting is so much of a whiplash for people close to me that they get uncomfortable by it.
Give me an example, because I
was like maybe that's just some internal work to do, because when you said you have to dial back to be on stage, I call bullshit on that with the right stage training.
Well, let's just say professionally, like if you're just being like, here is a boring presentation on why our metrics are going down. I'm not going to be like, hey guys, let's go. We're going to look at some metrics today.
Why not?
Just because
why are you not going to do
you
that?
have to know the audience that you're presenting for. It's all about the audience, what time of day it is, who's going to react to it. If I got teenagers in the audience, of course that's what I'm going to do. If I got 50-year-olds that just don't want to hear me talk, I'm going to be like, all right, just the facts, ma'am. Let's go. So there's that side of it. But sometimes, like, I'll just be so quiet and just not want to say much, which is quite often. Then you go and you hop up and do something, or you answer the phone and it's like, hello, what are you up to, guys? Let's go. I got to do. They're like, who the fuck was that just answered that phone? What was that?
Is it?
But is that you every minute of every day anyway? Like, do you feel that level? Maybe you do. I don't. I'm not that level every second of every day.
Depends. It really depends. And sometimes it's exhausting. Do you ever just get exhausted from being turned on?
Well, that's a different conversation.
That's not what he means.
Wait, hold on.
Alan.
Explain.
Absolutely, I do. So when I coach, I can only coach a certain number of clients or programs, even in a week, not even just in a day, because you're on and you're really focused. And if you're doing your job right, you're listening well and you're engaging and you're asking good questions and you're fucking tired when it's over.
I get tired. I get tired of being on all the time. Not turned on, but just being on. Like, because what it is I get tired of trying to support. Okay, so here's a little glimpse in the real me. I feel like it's my job to bring everybody's positivity up, especially if they're feeling blue or down. And so
Why is that?
Who brings
job?
up your positivity, Alan?
Yeah, I'm like, why is that your job?
It's just who I am. That's part of who I am on the inside.
Because I'm a very similar way, but then comes who brings up your positivity, Alan? Who's looking out for you?
Me.
Heather.
Who's the one gonna check in on you to make sure that you're feeling okay? Because you're always the one doing that for others, and that's an uncomfortable place to be in.
Insert awkward silence here.
Cricket noise.
Well, what's your answer, Jess? Who's that person for you?
There is none. You just have to live as that being and know that you're gonna have to give yourself extra time to figure it out.
I think you're ahead of the curve. I think a lot of people don't do that pre-planning work. They don't know how to check it. I mean, you said something, I'm going to look back at my notes because I take notes, that I just thought was really, really powerful, which was knowing if you have emotional capacity, if you're emotionally safe to take on a project or to do something. That's that same skill. Like, I have to know when to rest, when to pull back. Some people don't. They need a person to be like, slow your roll, dude.
I mean, there's that, but then there's a lot of just emotionally, especially in the film and theater industry, there's a lot of emotionally damaged white men that have a god complex that think they can do whatever they want. And
That's true.
that leads to a lot of people getting hurt. And I feel like the most damaging thing to any art form is emotionally damaged white men.
I used to have a client who would say whenever she wanted to get the courage to do something that felt scary, she would just channel her inner straight white dude. Because those fuckers will try anything.
I've heard that before. I mean, I'm being completely serious. I've heard multiple women say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because y'all are not scared, and it's amazing.
It's
It is, but you also need to know how you need to have enough empathy to know what it looks like when you're doing things quite
Absolutely.
often. Like for this film, I have a lot of younger actors. There are 2 teenage characters in the film, and you have to be very cautious when you're courting younger actresses of how it looks, making sure
Okay,
you're
you do.
being as transparent about what's going on as possible, making sure that keeping the parasocial para as opposed to that, because you can become friends, you can do all that stuff, but you need to know how it looks, how it feels, and take yourself out of yourself, no matter how good your intentions are.
You are evolved. I mean, I need to say that for anyone who's listening, and maybe just for you to recognize this about yourself. I think that you are evolved, and lots and lots and lots, and I'm going to just go ahead and say it, so come at me if you need to, of men, particularly white men, aren't there yet.
insert awkward silence.
I
just
agree.
true.
Like, I think there's nothing to add to that, and I feel like if I say more, it'll undermine the truth that you just said.
Yeah. But thank you. I appreciate you.
So looking forward then, with
Yes,
your...
Alan? Wait, transition.
I'm going to ask... Listen.
Play some bouncy
Alan
music.
is
right?
evolved also.
Chimpanzee
I will say
riding on
that.
a
Alan's
Segway.
one of the
Chimpanzee
most...
riding on a Segway. What?
Alan, you're one of the most evolved, not just men, people that I know. And you don't
people.
present that persona. That fear of what if somebody sees me is there. We've had that conversation. I don't know if it was before we were recording or not, but having had lots of really interesting conversations with you, you are incredibly evolved. So I don't want to take that away from
I've
you.
got a lot of work to do, so I was not looking for any compliments, by the way. But
Well, everyone has a lot of work to do.
yeah.
And I think that's a statement of being evolved, is recognizing that and saying, I can see that from your perspective. And this isn't what I thought, but let me think about that. And you ask those good questions and you think about what someone else's experience might be like. And you're open to changing your fucking mind. That's all we're asking.
that's true. I'll give you that. I agree 100%. But Jesse, looking forward, I did have a question there. So you've got the Daughters of the Domino in the works.
Yes.
Kickstarter campaign.
Shooting in March.
Yes. Kickstarter campaign will be live when this episode drops. So looking forward then, do you have do you look this far ahead? Do you have another risk that you're calculating? Do you have another chance that you're thinking about taking that you want to use to push something else big forward in your life right now?
Yes. I'm very happy with the choice I am. I love my podcast. I love what I do, but you kind of want to legitimize what you do eventually. There's a very telling line in the most recent Tick, Tick, Boom movie where Jonathan Larson's like, he's at the age where he stops being a composer with a day job and starts being a waiter with a hobby. And that, like, we all have that fear. Like, we all, like, realize that there's some people that just need to get a real job and whatnot. I don't want to do that yet. So you make a film as a calling card, and you either go to the West Coast or the East Coast to show that you can do it without their help. But imagine what I could do if I had your help. That is why you make one, and I feel like that's what this is going to be. And I think that answered your question in the most cryptic way I could. But
did.
if you're clever, you'll know what I'm saying there.
It did. You're dangling your own carrot for yourself.
Yeah. Because you can't promise anything. Like, the worst fear is, like, Alan, well, let's just be transparent here. You were there for a reading of this script. I would hope you'd be, like, pulling me aside, like, man, I'm not sure this is the one. But you seem to enjoy it.
I did, and I want.
It's a good
and I want to
start.
be in the thing. I'm telling you, like, I texted you afterwards. I'm like, I love it. Where can I audition? And I'm still waiting for my call.
You don't have to audition. You just need to have a really hearttheart conversation.
Exactly.
With us.
That kind of is the way it works. Although I don't, and this is a problem, I don't tend to write for men. There's not many, like, really dive deepy kind of roles for men in this script, as sad as that is.
Oh no,
He doesn't need a deep dive role. He just needs a little cameo.
I just need like 2 days on set. That's it. That's fine. And so that way I can be like,
Okay,
hey,
if
look
you
what I'm
pay
doing.
your own way and your own living,
I'm there.
we can make something work.
I'm
Okay.
totally there. I will be that guy who's like, hey, get out of my way. Like, I'll be that dude. You know,
Sweat all day in the Michigan heat.
Yeah, just I'll wait around, standing by all day for my 3 lines. That's all I need.
But
Yep.
no, I am sincerely glad that you sat in for that. I'm glad that you seem to enjoy it, and think, I'm assuming, I might be putting words, it might be an effective thing in the end.
Well, you showed me the concept art. I was just blown away by, like, again, how much effort and drive and direction you've already taken with this, because I'm used to people all the time of like, hey man, we should really like go start this next multi-billion-dollar idea. Okay, you go do it. And I'm like, what? No.
It's your idea.
Yeah.
But people talk about it all the time. Like, wouldn't it be cool if? And you and like the 3 of us here are the people who are like, well, yeah, it would be cool. So why not do it? But that's the exception, I think, where it's hard to follow through with a good idea because nothing is easy.
No,
right?
Everything is so hard. And I feel like all 3 of us have had in our lives the person that pitched you something and you think it's great and then they just never do it. And that breaks your heart more than anything. Do you know there's 1,000 better podcasters than me? There are 1,000 better filmmakers than me. There are 1,000 people that just gave up. and just did nothing with it and
Yeah.
just thought they weren't good enough. And self-doubt kills more artists than opium in the French Revolution. I don't know.
That's our cold
true,
opener.
though.
Self-doubt kills more than the French Revolution.
It's
Well, right before that, I think that is our cold open. I will go ahead and say that. No, but I love that you said that, because for people listening who their bullshit story in their head is there are 1,000 more talented people than me out here doing this. Why should I bother? Just told you why. Show the fuck up. Do the thing. Be passionate about the thing. And you're already ahead of the game.
Okay, so I am a big fan of mentorship. Like, that is something that's super important to me. That's the only reason why I do anything I do is I had mentors, and so I take it very seriously. Everyone, like, there's so many kids that I saw grow up through the same high school I went to that I bring onto my sets as PAs, and they work their butts off. And I get them jobs and full-time positions at places where I know I have connections because they're worth it. And even someone will do that for you if you just step out. People want to help you. They are never going to... I know we're in a horrible business where people want to step on each other, but more often than not, people want to try to get you in a place better than you are because you're worth it. No matter what you think, you're worth it.
That's hard to grasp onto, especially in an industry with imposter syndrome. Like I said, probably every industry has imposter syndrome to an extent. But I was going to go back to something that you said a second ago about, there are 1,000 better this and 1,000 better that. And the people who gave up aren't going to make it. Obviously, that's 100. There's 100% confirmation rate that if you give up, you're not going to make it. And why? My question then is, why do you not give up? Because some people are like, you look at a Steve Jobs type where it's like he's in his own reality distortion field and he just believes so wholeheartedly that he is right and everything else is wrong, and no matter what, right? And then that turns into a form of success. And there's others, and this is sort of the camp that I'm in, is that I don't stop because I'm afraid of what I'm going to miss if I do.
There's that, and sometimes I'm just like, this sounds like too much fun. Why should I let someone else have the fun? But then you have the old Groucho Marx saying where, hey, doctor, my brother thinks he's a chicken, and I swear it's driving me nuts. He's like, well, why don't you just move out? Well, I need the eggs. It doesn't make sense, but it feels like it all connects. It all is a very effective way of getting your art out there and connect, like having fun with people. At the end of the day, this is about going out to a random place, getting the camera rolling, creating something that wasn't there. Like, as Sondheim said, making a hat where there never was a hat. If I didn't exist, Musicals with Cheese wouldn't have existed, no matter what. Like, either or. If I didn't exist, if Alan didn't exist, BPN wouldn't exist in its current form, no matter what. If both of you didn't exist, this podcast wouldn't exist. This was not just created from thin air, it's created from people. And I think the people are just fun. Like, it's fun.
Be with like-minded people,
that's
pointed in the same direction. A rising tide lifts all ships. Other sayings that help you feel better about yourself. Insert here.
No, I love that. I mean, I really love it. I think of course, it's right. Like, everything that exists because we're here and we bring it forth. And it wouldn't be the same without us.
Do we get this introspective every episode, or is this a special occasion?
It's kind of my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this went more Heather this episode. Less dad jokes, more Heather. Yeah. But I like it.
So
I like
chimpanzee on a
when
segue.
Alan shuts up, it's my thing. No, it's the coach in me. So it is.
All right, so check the show notes for the Kickstarter link.
Give me your money!
Give Jess your money. Where else can we connect with you and Musicals with Cheese on the social medias?
Okay, you can find me over on Twitter at Jesse D. McAnally, spelled McAnally. It is not pronounced phonetically. I should probably change it one of these days. Also, you can find us over on Cheesy Musicals on Twitter. Check that out. We also, I don't know if you heard about this, but on the Broadway Podcast Network, I host a podcast called Musicals with Cheese and the Dear Friends podcast, and maybe a special new one coming up. But we'll see where that one's going in a few months, but that's exciting.
Woo!
Well,
Alan might be involved with that one. Spoils.
Well, thank you.
Just what Alan needs, another
podcast. Well, thank you.
Becoming
This
a
has been
parody
so
of
much
himself.
That's right.
One
It's
podcast at a time.
a whole podcast where we talk like this. Yeah.
In a world where you podcast so hard that you podcast your podcast.
Wow. The two of you are perfect for each other. It's amazing.
Got a yes and.
It's
We're real Colin
amazing.
Mockeries over here.
We
We don't even need the
Wow.
hypnosis.
Clearly.
Well-
Oh my goodness. Jess, this has been so much
Thank
fun.
you so much, Heather and Alan. It has been a great time.
Thank you, Jess McAnally. That's been a lot of fun.
I'm going to support the Kickstarter. I think I want my voice involved. That's the $500 level, right?
Yeah.
If I remember when I looked at the notes.
Yes, your voice is actually preferred for what we're using it for, so that's great.
Ooh, Alan.
Yeah.
My voice is preferred.
Female voiceover. Hello, how are you
Ha.
today? This is female number 3. Did I get the job? Did I get it?
Oh my gosh, that audition. Perfect.
Thank you.
We just won't tell him how you feel about auditions. Just thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heather
Good
and Alan.
luck with the Kickstarter.
Thank you so much. Wish me luck.
You got it. Break a leg. These things always start with me going, that was so fun. I really like that person.
That was so fun. I
You
really
start.
like Jess McAnally. That was cool.
Obviously, you two are two peas in a pod.
He
If only the audience could have heard the shenanigans that went on after we finished the interview.
he's a very cool guy. I've known him for a couple of years now through the Broadway Podcast Network scene. Musicals with Cheese was one of the first indies that we brought in. And they've just been great. Like, it's really cool to watch how seriously Jess takes it, because he realizes that all of this in the creative space is incredibly hard work and nothing's going to fall in your lap. So I've taken some things that I've done, I've taken from him and Andrew from Musicals with Cheese. Even this conversation we just had about working with others and just organizing and following through with what you're going to say. Like, all of this is just like reinforcement that says to us, oh yeah, that is what we need to continue to do, because sometimes it feels like we're just pushing water uphill.
Absolutely. I love that he's just rewriting. He's just doing it. I mean, anyone who's ever been in an audience where I was a keynote speaker or been a client of mine knows that I only have one rule. And that one rule is that there are no fucking rules. And I feel like Jess he's like, I will do this the way I want. I'm not doing auditions. I'm calling you in. We're having a conversation. We're going to see what works. Kickstarter, like all of it, even back from making the videos in high school and keeping those people in his circle. Like, he is just writing it up any way that he wants, and it's working. And I think it's cool. I think it's really fascinating to watch. And I wonder if it has something to do with the generation of people who are just tired of old school bullshit ways of doing things.
I think so. Well, it's definitely generational in like the creating and the keeping of followers too, because when I was coming out of high school, that was 98. So there was no YouTube. Barely anybody even had a website. So how was anybody at that point, other than being on traditional TV or radio? There weren't really any ways to build a following or to get known. So
I was just telling my daughter that I had to go to the computer lab and log into my DOS-based email to email friends in college. That thing definitely did not exist until the end of
Did you ever
college.
use MATLAB to do your math project? Yeah, we had this like program.
That was advanced for us. I'm older than you.
We had to like go to this program that did like just graphing of derivatives and bullshit that like your smartphone can do now. But we had to have this anyway. I digress.
Okay.
That is a big surprise.
I think that it's fun. I think it's really fun that he's bringing the Kickstarter element in because it's not just about raising funds. It's about raising friends and getting people involved and invested. And there are lots of ways to manifest your creative success.
Yes. Sounds like you wanted to still say something.
Nope. I just wanted to make that statement for everyone listening. There are lots of ways to manifest your creative success. And Jess's format and formula is a really fascinating one.
And we want to hear what you are doing, listener, to manifest your creative success. Please slip into our DMs on Instagram at wasitchance. You can send us an email at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. And we want to know. We want to know what you're doing and how you're breaking the mold. Actually, I want to know, did you come out of high school with followers? Did you?
Yeah, could you message us on Instagram?
Yeah, could you like, send a carrier pigeon with a message on its leg or messenger owl? I don't even know how much a stamp costs.
Mike Allen and I did.
And let us know. Anyway,
That's funny.
you've been listening to Was It Chance?
The podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. Thanks for joining us. I'm Heather Vickery.
I'm Alan Seals.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.